Edward Island. It's my first time, so it's very beautiful, and thank you so much. It's especially a pleasure to be here with my husband and support him in this journey. As you know, my husband and I, we share the same values, although our background is a little different. I was born in Venezuela, and my family migrated here in 1995 when I was 8, and I was raised in Montreal. And when my family migrated here, my dad, he had to trade his business suit and his job as a bank manager to come here and wear secondhand clothes and pick up fruits and vegetables because that's the only thing he could do, and he had a family to feed. And my husband's story is a little different. You know, he was adopted. He was born from a 16-year-old woman who gave Pierre out for adoption to 2 school teachers from Saskatchewan. And he was born in Calgary, and he was raised there. And he grew up the same. You know, our family is living paycheck to paycheck, understanding that filling your tank of gas, it is not a luxury. It is a way of transportation. It's a way for you to go to work so that you can feed your family. So we were raised the same way, working hard and understanding that it didn't matter where you come from. What matters is where you're going. And with a little bit of hard work and hope that we can all succeed. My family came here for these opportunities that unfortunately we don't find nowadays. We keep working hard, and somehow we can't get ahead. But there is hope. There is hope ahead. And I am so proud of support my husband throughout this journey because we need some common sense back in this country. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great sacrifice, and I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart that we believe in what we do. We wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here, away from my kids, if it didn't mean that we really think that it's a fight that we have to take to bring common sense back and to hear from the people and be on the ground to hear your stories. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to share my husband with you all, our next Prime Minister, Pierre Poilievre.
Thank you very much, Prince Edward Island. Who's ready to axe the carbon tax? Who's ready to have a home you can actually afford? Who's ready to stand behind our farmers and our fishermen? And who's ready to make common sense common again? I have to say, I was a little bit confused by all the cars lining up to this gathering. First, because I was told there are no conservatives in Prince Edward Island. And second, I don't know why you all drove here. Chrystia Freeland said that you could ride your bike. Where's your bike? Richard, did you ride over here from Nova Scotia on your bike? You were Nova Scotia, Dr. Ellis, from New Brunswick. He came over on his bike. He got the memo from Chrystia Freeland, right? And you took public transit over from Nova Scotia, right? You took the subway. He took the subway. That's impressive. What a wonderful world we live in, isn't it? Yeah, and the budgets balance themselves. Food grows itself, apparently, right? Don't need farmers anymore, apparently. You know, here they are. Here we are in PEI. 4 Liberal MPs. And guess what? Yes, I think we need a retirement plan for them, don't we? I think they're already retired. It's just they don't know it. We never hear about them. We never hear anything from them in Ottawa. You imagine. You know, here we are. The federal government banning the export of our seed potatoes from PEI, even after the science and the experts confirm that there's nothing wrong with the potatoes, and not a peep out of the Liberal MPs to stand up and defend our farmers in this province, right? Even Macaulay, what's his job? Agriculture Minister. What has he done for the potato farmers here in PEI? The square root of nothing. You know, unbelievable that the biggest champion of our PEI potato farmers has been an Alberta MP, a shadow minister of agriculture, John Barlow, right? That's because we're working for the people. We understand that we don't need voices for Ottawa in PEI. We need voices for PEI in Ottawa. We need to remember that the government is servant and not master. But boy, that lesson has been forgotten lately, hasn't it? Yeah, unbelievable. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything costs more. Work doesn't pay. Housing costs have doubled. Crime, chaos, drugs and disorder are now common in our streets. And he divides to distract us he divides one person against another in order to distract us from his many failings, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, the good news is that Canada was not like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. Because we're going to make this a country that works for the people who actually do the work. We're going to make this a country that stands for the common sense of the common people. Let's start with the number one issue, the skyrocketing cost of living. Anybody see those inflation numbers the other day? Up, up, and away, and the biggest and fastest food price inflation was right here in PEI. Two of the other top provinces were also Atlantic provinces. Why? Because on July 1st, the Trudeau tax kicked in at the pumps. But it's not just your gas and eventually your heat. It's also your groceries. Because when you tax the fuel of the farmer who makes the food and the trucker that ships the food, you tax all who buy the food. I was at a wonderful potato farm with Alex. Where's Alex? Alex? Where are you? There he is. We're over there at his farm today. He taught me to pull the potatoes right out of the ground. He turned me into a farmer. He said that I was outstanding in my field. Anyway, I still got the red chalk on there. You know you've been in PEI if you've got that color of dust on your shoes, right? But he's spending $60 an hour to run his tractor. $60 an hour. How much a year? Thousands, many thousands. And the carbon tax has effectively increased the cost of fuel by 14 to 17 cents a liter. Now, Trudeau's plan is to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a liter. I worry about the seniors who are choosing between eating and heating. When their tax goes on their oil tank and on their groceries, what are they going to do? Lower the temperature down to 12 degrees? Are they going to cut back on their meals? You know, have you seen these stories going around on TikTok of young people talking about the lives that they're now living because of the inflation Trudeau has caused? One mother said that she has her kids 1 week on, 1 week off. She's split up with her husband. She says when the kids are not around, she doesn't do groceries to save money. So she buys one loaf of bread and she cuts a little slice for breakfast, another lunch, another for dinner, and that's all she eats all week long. One loaf of bread. And she said she makes $34 an hour, but that's not enough to live on anymore. I met a carpenter in Sudbury who lives in a parking lot. He's 42 years old. CTV ran a story of a nurse who now lives in her van. This is Canada, but we have tent cities now in every single major center in the country because costs have risen so much faster than the paychecks. We're going to stop the rising costs, starting by axing the carbon tax to lower the cost of heat, gas, and groceries. Axe the tax! 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 But it doesn't stop there. Inflation is also a function of all the money printing, right? You know, 3 years ago, we had the total amount of money in Canada's economy was 1.8 trillion. Banknotes, coins, bank deposits, 1.8 trillion. Now we have $2.4 trillion. That's an increase of 600 billion, or 32% in the money supply. Now, if only increasing the amount of cash actually increased the amount of wealth, then it would be very easy to pay our bills, wouldn't it? But actually, what it actually does is it bids up the cost of the goods we buy and the interest we pay because the services and the goods have only grown by 4%. So we're growing the supply of money 8 times faster than the supply of the stuff money buys. If you have 10 loaves of bread and $10, well, it's $1 a loaf. If you double the number of dollars to 20, but you still only have 10 loaves of bread, well, now it's $2 for every loaf. You didn't become twice as rich, everything just became twice as expensive. And that's great if you're a billionaire, your fancy designer watches, your mansion, your art collection, your fancy wines, they all inflate in value. You get richer. But for the working people, it chews up their paycheck as that money goes a shorter distance. So it's a transfer of wealth from the have-nots to the have-yachts that we have seen. And the famous middle class, remember Justin Trudeau was going to do everything for the middle class? There is no middle class left after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. He has picked their pockets and destroyed their paychecks. We have to stop the deficit spending. And that's why a Pierre Poilievre-led government will bring in a new dollar-for-dollar law requiring politicians find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending so that we are forced to make the same trade-offs that you make in running your household budget. Forced to go and root out waste and mismanagement within the government, forced to look internally for savings rather than just taxing, borrowing, and printing and passing the bill on to the people. The Americans had this law for about 5 years in the 90s. It caused them to balance the budget and pay off $400 billion of debt. As soon as the law lapsed, they went right back into deficit, proving again that politicians need legal limits on their spending or they will not be able to control themselves. You've been pinching your pennies long enough. It's time for politicians to start pinching their pennies too. And we're also going to bring in discipline in our central banking. Instead of printing cash, our central bank will have one purpose: protecting the purchasing power of our money and keeping inflation low. And I will ban the bank from any future creation of a central bank digital currency. Yeah. We're going to get rid of the wasteful ArriveCan app. We're going to cut back on all the juicy contracts for McKinsey and the other high-powered, high-priced consulting firms. And we're going to cut back on the money that the government is sending out of our country to foreign dictatorships and foreign organizations. Bring the money home. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home. And you know what else you're going to bring home is a powerful paycheck. Work doesn't pay in Canada anymore. You get punished. You make it, Trudeau takes it. A single mom making 60 grand a year with 3 kids goes out and earns another dollar, loses 80 cents in clawbacks of her child benefit, income tax, payroll tax, gas tax, and carbon tax just to get to work. So if she earns, if her boss says, look, come in for an extra hour, she earns $25 an hour. She's going to lose 20 of those $25. She keeps $5. That's below minimum wage. We punish work in this country. That's why we have a labor shortage. We punish good behavior. We punish, they're called meters, marginal effective tax rates. It's like a parking meter, except instead of paying to park, you pay to work. It's like a fine you pay for the crime of contributing to our economy. That's why a Pierre Poilievre-led government will reform the clawbacks and cut income taxes so you bring home more of each dollar, and hard work once again pays off in this country. And we're going to have more paychecks to bring home. We're going to make sure that our brilliant immigrants, we've got 20,000 immigrant doctors and 32,000 immigrant nurses banned from working in our hospitals because there's no direct way for them to prove their qualifications. In Canada, only 11% of Filipino nurses are allowed to work. In the States, they can take an international exam, get qualified within a couple of weeks, and go work in a hospital treating patients. We have an acute doctor and nurse shortage right across the country, and yet we're blocking people from actually working in that field. We have a red seal for the trades, right? Any red seal tradespeople in here? There you go. Lots of them. They can work anywhere in Canada because they've taken the exam to prove that they are a carpenter, an electrician, a pipe fitter, etc. But we have no such thing in the professions. A Poilievre-led government will bring in a blue seal certification so that our nurses, doctors, engineers, and other professionals can take an exam, get qualified, get to work, and we can have more doctors, more nurses, and more paychecks in our country. Instead of creating more cash, we're going to create more of what cash buys. We're going to build more homes, grow more food, fish more from the seas, and we're going to produce more Canadian energy right in this country. We have to bring home our production. Here's how. Right now, we're sending our money to foreign dictatorships to buy 130,000 barrels of overseas oil every single day, even though we have the third biggest supply here on any country on planet Earth. We see these Teslas driving around. Where does the lithium come from in those batteries? From China. Coal-burning China. So they're burning coal in China to give us these batteries so we can feel good about all we're doing for the environment, right? While we send our money to other countries and to foreign dictatorships. And meanwhile, we have the sixth biggest supply of lithium of any country on planet Earth, yet we can't mine it. Why? Because it takes 25 years to get a mine approved in Canada, whereas it takes 12 to 18 months to do it. The First Nations in Northern Ontario want to mine it. They've been applying to get the road built towards the future mine. They've been working 5 years and spent $50 million. I asked if a shovel was in the ground. They said a snow shovel is the only thing they're allowed to get in the ground in Canada. Meanwhile, natural gas. We have 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas right beneath our feet that we could be shipping off to the rest of the world. The Japanese Prime Minister and the German Chancellor actually came and asked Justin Trudeau if they could buy some of our gas. He said there's no business case. And nobody told the Americans, who built 7 export terminals in the last 7 years. Nobody told the Qataris, who've doubled their production. Nobody told the Germans, who proposed and completed an entire import terminal in 194 days. And yet we have not done one of those things in the last 8 years. We have big advantages in natural gas. 1, we have the shortest shipping distances to Europe and Asia of any place in North America. 2, we have clean hydroelectricity in Newfoundland, Quebec, British Columbia, which could power the liquefaction. And 3, how do you liquefy gas? You cool it down. What do we have in Canada? Cold weather. It's our most abundant natural resource. In fact, I'm told that when Justin Trudeau was in PEI, it was so cold he was seen with his hands in his own pockets. So here's my common sense plan. I'm going to repeal the anti-energy and anti-resource law C-69, replace it with a law that allows us to protect the environment, consult First Nations, but get quick decisions with less red tape so that we can mine that lithium in Canada. We can produce our own oil. We can build our own pipelines. We can bring it home. We will approve big, powerful natural gas liquefaction terminals we will cool that gas down to minus 161 degrees, ship it to Asia to replace dirty Asian coal fire plants, ship it to Europe to break European dependence on Putin and turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people in this country. Bring it home! Bring it home! Bring it home! Bring it home! And we're going to start supporting our fishermen and our farmers in this country. Absolutely. Our farmers, boy, they've had a tough several years, especially here in PEI with the potato so-called wart problem. You know, it was our own government that put that restriction on, even though there was no science to back it up. And now we have an international panel confirming that PEI's potatoes are safe. A Poilievre-led government will always back the science and back our farmers to make sure we get our product to world markets. We'll remove red tape. We'll stop this crazy fertilizer ban that Trudeau's trying to put in. And once again, we'll axe the tax to make food more affordable. Fisheries and ocean will work for our fish harvesters, not work for itself in Ottawa and not pursue crazy ideological agendas that are hostile to our fisheries. And also, we will always back and we will widely promote the responsible harvesting of seals, which is a legitimate long-standing tradition in our country. We want to bring home the catch, bring home the harvest, bring home the paychecks, but we need homes to bring them to. 9 in 10 of our young people believe they will never be able to afford a home. Housing costs have doubled under Trudeau. The rent, doubled. The average mortgage payment, doubled. The needed down payment, doubled. It's been double trouble. In fact, it's double crossed. As Trudeau said, he was going to reduce the cost of housing. In fact, his big defense is he has an $89 billion affordable housing program. So it's bad to fail. It's worse to fail expensively. And now housing is not just more expensive for the home buyer, but for the taxpayer. He's spent all the money on bureaucracy. He's given more money to municipal gatekeepers that block construction. And we know why our housing is so expensive is because we have so few homes. We have the fewest homes per capita of any country in the G7, even though we have the most land to build on. That is why if you go to Niagara, Ontario, a house costs, on average, almost twice as much as in Niagara in the United States, 20 minutes apart. Vancouver is now the 3rd most, and Toronto the 10th most overpriced market on planet Earth. We have the fewest houses. In fact, we have fewer houses per capita today than when Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister because our population has been growing so much faster than our supply of homes. No wonder we can't find places for our people to live. We need to remove the bureaucracy that prevents home building. It now takes up to 7 years to get a building permit. This adds literally $1.2 million to the cost of every newly built home in Vancouver, $350,000 to the cost of every newly built home in Toronto. Some cities have increased the development charges by 900%. The taxes, charges, delays, consultants, lawyers, zoning uncertainty are adding to the cost of housing, and all of that is paid by the home buyer. It's great if you're a millionaire and you already own a mansion. The limited supply increases the value of your home. But if you're a working class person trying to buy a house or pay a mortgage, it is becoming impossible. So my common sense plan is this. I'm going to tell the big cities that they have to boost home building permits by 15%, or I'll pull back their federal infrastructure grants. Those that beat the target, yeah. Those that beat the target will get a building bonus, right? We will pay for results. No more big fat checks for nothing. I don't want to meet with municipal leaders who just want to pat each other on the back and talk about how wonderful they're collaborating. None of that matters if you're not getting things done. I'm paying for performance and results, and I will measure those results by home completions. the number of houses that actually get completed, keys indoors. I'm also going to sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land so that we can build, build, build. And you know what warms my heart? To think of a beautiful family pulling up in their U-Haul to move into their wonderful new home in the former headquarters of the CBC. We're going to get homes built. And you know what else we're going to do? We're going to back the tradesmen and the tradeswomen that do the building, right? We don't need more suits, we need more boots in our economy, right? So I'm going to make sure that the federal training dollars are equally available for the trades as they are for the professions, for the polytechnics and trade schools as they are for the universities. This is the way that we're going to get the skilled workforce that will actually do the building of the future. The opportunities in the trades are immense. I even want to work on with the provinces to see if we can avail more materials for our high school kids to begin a pre-apprenticeship before they even turn 18. Yeah. And you know what else we'll do? Bring in tax fairness. A CEO can write off his private jet, but a traveling tradesman cannot write off the cost of going from, say, Timmins to Fort Mac to go work as a pipe fitter. So we've just introduced a bill, a conservative bill, that's actually passed through the House of Commons, believe it or not. It's called the Tax Fairness for Traveling Trades Workers Act, which will allow our traveling trades workers to write off the full cost of their travel, food, and accommodation to go from one place to another, building our country. Fairness for our tradespeople. And, you know, we want these people. What's that? It's not retroactive. Were you a traveling tradesman? Where'd you work? Oshawa. Where up north? Norman Wells. Good. A lot of traveling tradespeople around here, I bet, eh? Back and forth across the country. We see them. Let's give them a round of applause for the people who build the country. Build the country. God love them. You know, we want people to live in safe neighborhoods as well. Crime is raging out of control. Is it bad here at all? You have any crime? So it's maybe not made it here yet. Oh my God, unbelievable. In other parts of the country, violent crime is at 40% under Justin Trudeau's catch and release policies. He's got this policy that you can commit as many crimes as you want and he'll keep releasing you onto the street. In fact, in Vancouver, they had to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times. Because they're released within hours of their arrest. That's 150 arrests per offender per year. And that's why the crime problem is so crazy. Then they're giving out drugs, taxpayer-funded opioids. This is somehow going to save people from drug addiction. He's even signed a deal with the NDP government in BC to decriminalize crack, heroin, and other hard drugs. This is causing a pandemic of 30,000 drug overdose deaths. Yeah, that's right. He wants to go after the licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested firearms owners who are proven to be the least likely people to ever commit a crime with a gun. And since he brought in his gun ban, there has been a 100% increase in shooting crimes. Shows you how well it's working. Because he simultaneously reduced sentences for bank robbers and other criminals. So here's my common sense plan. Poilievre-led government will get rid of the catch and release system and bring in jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders. Two, we will stand up for law-abiding firearms owners. I will repeal the attack on our farmers, our hunters, and our licensed sport shooters, and instead I will put the money into reinforcing the border to keep the illegal guns out and putting the repeat gun criminals in jail. Yeah. And instead of giving out taxpayer-funded drugs, we will fund treatment, detox, rehabilitation to bring our loved ones home drug-free. That's what we'll do. And I'll tell you what else, and I will tell you something else about that. I said there'd be a dollar-for-dollar law, that we'd find $1 for every dollar we spent. The corrupt pharmaceutical companies that caused the opioid crisis by pushing these drugs on our medical system. In the States, they've been sued. They've paid out $54 billion in settlements. A Poilievre-led government will launch the same lawsuits, make these pharma companies pay the billions of dollars they owe, and we're going to put that money into rehabilitation and treatment. They should pay the price for what they did. And we will bring home our freedom to this country again, won't we? You're right about that. Not without the veterans. Veterans who Justin Trudeau said were asking more than he could afford to give. The veterans who gave their lives for our country. He says we're asking more than he could afford to give, while he was giving $10 million to Omar Carver. And this is Justin Trudeau's approach. Our approach will be to restore treatment and the highest quality care to our returning veterans. We will reinvest in the Helmets to Hard Hats program so that the young veterans can transition to the civilian economy and earn beautiful paychecks, living great lives. More and more of our veterans are young. We need to acknowledge that they have a second career and their skills are priceless in our economy. We're going to help them use those skills to live a beautiful and prosperous life that they deserve in this free land of ours. We are also going to reinvest in our armed forces to build up our equipment and supply our soldiers with the best they need. Absolutely. We will ensure that Canadian governments work for Canada by ending foreign influence. We'll have a full public inquiry into Beijing's interference in our democracy. We'll bring in a foreign influence registry to expose all of those agents that are paid by foreign dictatorships to manipulate our politics. We will ban all of the members of my cabinet and senior government from any involvement in the World Economic Forum. And there will be no digital ID imposed on our population. And we will ensure that our governments work for our people in this country. We will bring home control of our democracy. Look, this is the fundamental philosophical difference we have with Justin Trudeau and our friends in the Liberal Party. This is the difference. They believe that they should decide how you live your life. They believe that the ordinary people, as they call them, are just not intelligent or virtuous enough to make decisions for themselves. So, Trudeau believes he should spend your money on your behalf. He believes he should control what you see and say on the internet through his censorship law. He believes that he should decide what to do with your lawfully possessed firearm. He believes that taking money out of the economy only then is that he can allow himself to command and control how our economy operates. He believes that he's the one that should choose for you, and that a group of elites who are just wiser and more virtuous are qualified to make the decisions for everyone else. My friends, these so-called ordinary people, these are the people that I meet in my travels in every corner of this country. And let me tell you that the waitress who balances 10 plates on a tray and serves 15 customers at once, works a 12-hour shift to come home and help her kid with math and balances her budget on a minimum wage salary. She is not ordinary. She is extraordinary, my friend. The farmer that masters the sciences of sky and soil to bring food from his field to your fork is not ordinary, he is extraordinary. And the electrician who captures a lightning bolt from the sky, runs it through a copper wire to illuminate this room and light up the world, is not ordinary, he is extraordinary. These extraordinary people deserve to be masters and not servants in their own country. These are the great, good, and genius people of our land. Once again, they will be at home in their land. It is the common sense of the common people, united for our common home. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home. God bless PEI.